Yo, what's up? It's your boy MG with 800 Entertainment. You're now tuned in to the Mike City Podcast, and today, this is where we bring the industry directly to you. All right. Today, guys, we got a special guest in the building. He's a very, very funny individual. He's come to a few of our events. He makes the crowd laugh. Half musician, half man, half amazing. Give it up for Danny Fallon. Hey! All right.
Cool.
All right, Danny Fallon. It's a pleasure to have you here today, sir.
Yeah, good to be here.
You know, like I said, you have come to a few of our events in the past, the Mike City comedy shows, Mike City Thursdays, and you have had people, laughing. You're funny, definitely funny. So that's why I invited you on the podcast.
Awesome,
so
man.
thank you very much for coming.
Of course, brother. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. All right, so let's jump right into it. How long have you been this fucking funny, Danny?
Well, I've been doing stand-up comedies for about a little over 3 years, but I've probably been funny my whole life,
So 3 years you've been doing actual comedy.
Right.
But in like the class clown, the family funny guy, you've been doing that
Throughout my life.
throughout your whole life.
Most of the time unintentionally, for sure.
All right.
And then later on I figured out, that's actually something I could do intentionally,
And get paid for it.
Right.
Okay. So as a child, tell me some of the funniest moments you remember.
Well, there's this one story from being a kid where I guess my parents, this is before I remember, but they were saying that, they told me to stop eating the blue gumballs because I was eating too many blue gumballs, right?
Uh-huh.
And so they left the house. They said, don't eat any more blue gumballs. They left the house. They come back. My face is covered in blue, right? And what the hell? We told you not to eat any more blue gumballs. And then I raised up the bag, and all the gumballs were still accounted for. I had just sucked the blue off all of them. So I found the loophole, you know what I mean? So I was sucking blue balls. Is basically what.
Whoa, pause.
As a kid, yeah. It's gonna get a little gay. That's one thing about my comedy. Yep.
Yeah, I got you.
But yeah, that was a funny moment, I guess, from childhood for sure.
Okay, well, that was pretty funny, and it was a good story. Now, you said you were funny as a child, but 3 years now you've been taking comedy serious.
Right.
Out of all the different comedy styles that they have, studying the 3 different styles: slapstick, observational, and shock comedy. Which would you say defines you?
Yeah.
In your style of comedy?
I would say observational with a little bit of shock.
Okay.
I try to just make observations about my life and modern American life, and then also I always hold a punch for a little shock value here and there just to keep the crowd going,
Yes.
Okay. You gotta have some surprises. Comedy is built off of surprise.
Yes, it is.
So sometimes the only thing that's going to be surprising for certain crowds is just going to be something that's totally shocking,
And what's more shocking than personal experience?
Right. Yeah.
I noticed that you definitely lead off of, on your jokes, off of personal experience and warm people up and get them to engage with that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's very creative.
Absolutely. Yeah. I draw most of my comedy off of personal experience, things that I've been through. I've had kind of an unconventional life. So that's really kind of what makes me different. I think that comedy is all about having a perspective that's a little different. And so the only reaction for people when they hear your perspective is to laugh, because it's making them feel uncomfortable. But if you could do it in a certain way, it'll make them laugh that it's uncomfortable,
Yes. Sometimes a little bit of uncomfortableness, it eases the tension, right? So that everybody's accepting. Yeah. And, pushing the envelope sometimes also helps,
Yeah.
I've been to a lot of different comedy shows, improvs, and seen a lot of different people. Just recently, I went to the 85 South show, and I'm not going to lie to you, it was one of the funniest events that I've been to. The whole time, them boys were funny.
Yeah.
And then they were like rock stars. They had a band behind them. They were doing their thing.
Oh, shit.
It was very creative.
Yeah.
And they sold out the James L. Knight Center.
Wow.
It was packed. I was shocked. It was fucking hilarious, man. It was really funny.
Where was that?
In Miami.
Okay.
Downtown Miami.
Gotcha.
And it was a good event, good something to go to. I'm proud of them boys. Their show is very something amazing. If anybody gets a chance to see it, go check it out. 85 South Show. Now, So you said a little observational with a little bit of shock is definitely how you define your style.
Right.
Name your let's switch it up a little bit. Name your top 3 comedy movies.
Ooh, okay.
3 top movies that you think are funny to you.
Top 3 comedy movies. I'd have to put Old School in there.
Old School.
That's with
But the basketball.
No, it's like when they the one guy, he gets cheated on by his wife, so he rents an apartment near on a college campus.
Oh, Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell, Vince
Yeah.
Vaughn, all of them, and so they're kind of reliving their glory days. I recently watched that. I'd say that's probably up there. Pineapple Express, I would say that was. I mean, back in the day, that was definitely a defining movie for me, comedically. Man, what else? That's really tough, Just trying to think of what else is really, really funny. 'Cause
Pineapple
that's
Express
hard
was
to-
funny.
Hard to narrow it down like that.
Yeah.
You know what was good? I'll just say Hot Rod with Andy Samberg. I
Hot
remember
Rod.
that was also good. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Hot Rod, Old School, and the other one was
I could throw in How High. I can read the room.
Pineapple
How High
Express.
is probably a little bit more accessible.
How High.
That was a good one. I remember I actually bought that DVD.
Where he smoked his buddy. He smoked his buddy.
And then they were able to get through college. Yep.
They passed the test.
Yeah.
What was his name? Emery.
Yeah.
they were smoking on Emery.
With fucking not Redman, right?
Yeah, Redman and Method Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good movie. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it. So yeah, if I had to name 3 funny ass movies, Friday's funny.
Oh, Friday's good. Yeah.
Friday's hilarious.
Classic. Yep. See, it's tough. It's not as easy as you think.
Yeah, I know, right? Ace Ventura.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely.
Ace Ventura is fucking hilarious.
Yeah. That's the pet detective, right?
Yeah. With Finkel, with the Finkel, was the dude. There's a dude. There's a lady trying to be a dude.
I only have brief memories of that movie. I saw it one time. I was in a
How old are you?
detox. 29.
Okay, so you're
Yeah.
you're a young man.
Yeah.
I'm 37. I'm an 80s baby. So some of those Beverly Hills Cops movies with Eddie Murphy, them shits was funny.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You ever seen Malibu's Most Wanted?
Of course.
Yeah.
What's this guy? King Kong ain't got nothing on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit was funny as fuck. And the dude had the harpoon. Any of y'all ever saw America's Most Wanted?
No,
No, Malibu.
With the white boy,
Malibu's
yeah.
Most Wanted. King Kong ain't got nothing on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit was hilarious.
Yeah, at one point in my life, I was probably like that character.
Yeah, no, that shit was funny, man. I get that shit 2 thumbs up. I can't think of any funny movies off the top of my head right now, but I definitely am a fan of funny movies.
Yeah.
Happy Gilmore.
Happy
Happy
Gilmore.
Gilmore.
Thank you.
Yep. Really?
Talladega Nights.
Yes, that's that.
Yo, Will
movie's
Ferrell's
so
been a
good.
common trend of the funny movies that me and him been talking about.
I would say Will Ferrell is one of my biggest comedic inspirations. That's not.
Well,
your
that's my
typical
next question.
stand-up.
Slow down, man.
Okay.
Slow down. And my next question is, name your top 5 comedians. They don't have to be stand-up. They could be TV show comedians or movie comedians.
Okay. Well, I'll say Louis C.K. That's my top stand-up of all time right now, because the more that I've done stand-up, the more he's still the guy who can make me laugh. Right?
Okay.
I would have to put Kevin Hart in there, because Kevin Hart was my first introduction to stand-up.
For real?
Yeah.
What was it? Tell me now you gotta tell me
It was, I think it was Laugh at My Pain, the one where he's talking about his dad being on drugs.
Say it with your chest.
Yeah, he's like, you want to learn today?
You gonna learn today.
How you spell long? No, Dad, he don't need to know all that. He don't
How
need
you
to know
spell
all
long dick?
No, Dad, he don't. I used
Funny,
to.
nigga. My son watches that shit all the time. That
So
shit's
good.
hilarious.
Kevin Hart was so funny back in the day.
He is funny.
I think that a little bit of the success kind of made him
Yeah.
less relatable.
No, he makes better drama movies now.
Yes, he makes better movies now,
he's
but
making
his stand-up has suffered.
top-notch movies.
Because
Yeah.
stand-up is more, it's for the common people, So when Kevin Hart was talking about his dad's on drugs,
Yeah, that was relatable.
and he's like, I can't work out, I'm not in good shape, and I'm intimidated at the gym. All
Go
that shit's-
learn today.
Yeah.
All right, so Kevin Hart. Who was the first one?
Louis C.K.
Louis C.K.
Kevin
Kevin Hart. Give me
I'll give you
three more.
I would say, well, let's just put Will Ferrell in there.
Will Ferrell. So 3. Will
Because-
Ferrell. Kevin
and then-
Hart. Louis. Will.
I would put Vince Vaughn in there.
Okay, Vince Vaughn is a movie funny guy.
Just because
He got those funny movies. Right?
Yes. And because of he was the voice for BoJack Horseman.
I know that.
Which is one of my favorite shows of all time. It's a cartoon, but it like depicts like addiction and mental health and like stardom and
I know that.
showbiz. Yeah.
Well, who do you think's funnier, him or that guy he always does movies with?
Who does he do that?
What's that guy's name that always does the movies with Vince Vaughn? The blonde hair.
Oh, Owen Wilson?
Owen Wilson.
Vince Vaughn for sure.
Okay.
I think Owen Wilson. He's more of the fool, kind of like the bumbling fool.
Yeah.
But I think I relate to and I appreciate.
Vince Vaughn's more of like the cocky, dominant character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's got more of the straight, kind of keeping a straight face.
Why do they always play the same characters in every movie though?
Well, because they're good at it, and then Hollywood doesn't like to take risks. You know, Hollywood wants to make. They're like, oh, this already works, so let's do it 7 more times and milk it for all it's worth.
That's pretty much what's going on now.
Yeah.
Like,
that's why you see all these.
Like the dude from fucking. Oh my gosh. Green Lantern guy.
Oh, Joe Rogan.
No, his name's not Rogan.
Seth Rogen.
Oh.
His name's not Seth Rogen. It's the guy who does Deadpool.
Oh, you talking about
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds. He
Yeah.
did Green Lantern too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy plays the same fucking character in every fucking movie.
Yeah.
Nobody doesn't understand that. The same role, bruh. Every fucking movie. It's the same character. It's like, come on, guys. You gotta change it up a little bit.
That's his strength.
Well, it's like they say, you know, scared money don't make no money. You know.
Yeah, I understand that they're
Hollywood's
trying to,
scared.
They're trying to take the
Yeah.
safer route.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
They take the safer route.
Yeah.
I understand.
That's my take on it all.
All right, so Louis C.K.,
Yeah.
Kevin Hart, Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn.
Who else we were talking about?
Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell.
And then I'll throw in John Mulaney.
John Mulaney.
Just because.
Never heard of him.
That was like I said, I watched Kevin Hart, and I was like, man, stand-up is so funny. And that was like at a time in my life where I didn't even think about doing stand-up. I just would, like, the first time I watched Kevin Hart, I did mushrooms that morning. And then later that day, I watched Kevin Hart. I was like smoking weed. I was watching Kevin Hart. And then later I did cocaine for the first time. And then I went to a party and I drank and I left. I remember I left that party. I didn't have shoes. I left my fucking shoes at the party, dude. And then someone dropped me off to get my car. And to walk to my car, I had to walk through a gravel parking lot with no shoes on.
With no shoes on.
Hungover. Not to mention, before I took the shrooms, I had already been up for 2 days using speed.
Nothing wrong with shrooms.
So, you know.
Nothing
It
wrong with
was a
shrooms.
wild day. And so during that, I was exposed to Kevin Hart. But John Mulaney, I got exposed to John Mulaney. I got sober because I had a pretty bad drug problem. And I saw John Mulaney when I had like 2 years sober. Someone showed me, I was dating this girl, seeing her or whatever, and had a pregnancy scare with her. And she showed me John Mulaney, and that was like the first time I ever really saw like a white comedian.
Yeah.
You know? So that was more so like.
You ever seen Gary Owens?
I really didn't watch stand-up growing up. Like, my parents weren't big stand-up people.
You never heard of fucking the Deuce? What was his name? The white comedian. I forget his name.
That narrows it down.
Hey, he's like fucking. He act like Fonzie.
Maybe not.
Oh, Andrew Dice Clay.
Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, pop culture references. Might not be.
Fonzie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah.
You need to check him out. It's fucking raunchy
Yeah,
as fuck.
yeah, I'm familiar with him.
Yeah.
Some of that older comedy has not aged well though, dude. It's just not relatable. Like it's like,
Yeah.
like I try to watch some older stuff sometimes, and I'm like, this is just not funny. Stand up has gotten so much better, you know. Mm-hmm. But I would put John Mulaney just because when I saw New in Town by him, that really was like opened my mind to like, oh, I could do this.
Okay.
Like when I saw him do his stuff, I was like, oh, here's this like white guy. He's very articulate, but he's talking about like really dark subjects, you know.
Got you.
And so that kind of like opened the door for me, like, oh, I could probably do that, you know.
Well, I'm glad that you actually took the leap of faith because personally, from the events that you've been to, you are funny as fuck. So, you know, congratulations, and, you know, I'm glad you're there. Now, you know, you named your top 5 comedians.
Yep.
Now, let's take it dark a little bit.
Okay.
Have you ever told a joke that you afterwards decided that it was a little too over the top?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Don't repeat it if you don't want to.
I mean, I could repeat it if you want.
I mean, if you feel it's over the top, you really don't need to.
I can do it.
But just explain what you're...
I can explain the emotions. It'll actually
Yeah, I
give
was
me
about to explain
an
the
opportunity.
emotions. Yeah.
So, like, you know, like you were saying earlier, like we were talking about the types of comedy. Like, sometimes you want to shock people because you feel like that's the only way you're going to get a laugh is if you just say some crazy off-the-wall shit, right?
Yeah.
So I had this joke, and it's like, it's not what I feel. It's not how I feel, but I know it's so unexpected it will make people laugh.
Okay.
But I've recently retired it, but it was basically just like, so I have this joke where I talk about like, basically like doing gay shit for money, right? Because I used to be a drug addict.
Pause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I talk about that, and then afterwards I segue into this joke. I'm like, sometimes people have a negative experience with one person from a certain group of people, and that'll lead them to hate that group of people, which I don't think is fair, right? Like in my life, I've been sexually assaulted by a gay man. I still don't hate gay people, you know?
Yeah.
One time I was beaten and robbed by a black guy. Still don't hate black people.
Okay.
And one time a Jewish man saved my life. And I still fucking hate Jews.
No, we don't.
And
That
I
was
don't.
funny. That
And I
was funny. It
don't.
was
And then
funny.
I
It was funny.
say, and then I say afterwards, I say,
No, we
nah,
don't, but it
I'm
was
just,
funny.
I'm just messing around. But you ever meet a Jew and you're like, I kind of get it.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
Shiesty motherfucker. That was a joke.
no, but there was a Jew earlier here. I saw him.
It's a couple of them.
You can kind of tell sometimes, you know. No, but that's the thing where it's like, that's funny. Like now people
was
are laughing
fucking
out there.
funny.
So you want to, sometimes you're so desperate for laughs because it's like a fucking drug. It feels so good when people laugh that you'll like say shit that you don't feel. Like I don't actually dislike Jews, obviously. But
Nobody, you know.
that's why I recently, because then if you do that joke and people laugh, you feel great. You're like, whatever, that's part of the business. But I've done that joke and no one laughs. And then you're like, I feel like shit, and I feel like a total racist right now. Like, that was not worth it, you know what I
So
mean?
that's too over the
So
top.
now I'm like, all right, let me try to do something where even if it doesn't work, I still will feel like what I said was true to me, right? I don't want to change myself just for the crowd.
Got you.
You know what I mean? So,
Got you.
yeah.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah. So I've retired that joke.
I wouldn't.
But you guys got it.
Yeah.
That was from the archives.
It was pretty funny. It was a little dark.
Dark, for sure.
I definitely can understand when the motherfucker ain't gonna laugh at
Yeah.
you.
It's uncalled for. It was uncalled for.
Yeah, a little racist.
A little racist, for sure. I mean, luckily towards a group, you know, that
Diverse.
doesn't seem to be
Diverse.
present right now. But,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. I mean, shorty over there look like she wants to stab you, but I ain't gonna say nothing else.
Yeah. No, I don't.
All right, off of that. Now, let's see here. I also know that you're a musician. You know, I like to do my research when I do my interviews.
Nice.
I also know that you're a musician, right?
Yeah.
Do you sing or play instruments? What part of it is it?
I kind of consider I don't know if I consider myself retired, but I don't really do music at all professionally right now.
Well, you
I
used to. Yeah.
I used to be in bands, and I used to be, you know, I'd play drums, and I'd play guitar and bass, and I'd sing. Sometimes I would even rap. I thought I was going to be a rapper at some point. Like any white guy with a drug problem, I was a rapper at one point.
Rap name.
Of course.
My rap name was Big D.
Pause.
Yeah, little on the nose, but you know.
A little on the nose.
I remember we did this in high school senior year. They had like a student teacher Olympics, so the
Yeah.
students battled the teachers. And so the first year, junior year, I signed up for it with my beatboxer. I had a beatboxer in this class, personal fitness. What the fuck was his name? I don't remember, but he was my beatboxer, and I'd always rap. So we signed up, but then because of school politics, they didn't choose us, right? So then senior year comes around, I'm like, fuck that, I'm not even signing up. It's rigged anyhow. So then last minute they hit me up and they're like, we need a rapper. Can you show up? And I'm like, fine, I'll do it for the kids, you know, because
Yeah.
it was like a cancer benefit or something. So I show up and there was one other black guy. He was the other student, right? He sees me and he dips. He's like, I'm joining the teachers. So now it's just me against this black kid and then the teacher. And then I got some other nerdy white guy who's like the other rapper on the students. And I'm like, man, I'm smoked. But in the school, they had this thing called 6 C's, like college, creativity, community. And that was kind of like an ethos for the school. It was all over the place. So it was a cappella. They didn't tell me that either. So I go up and my first bars were, this school might be based on the 6 C's, but in the streets, they just call me the Big D. And like the crowd erupted, bro, and I just got like a huge pop. I probably should have known then. I was like, oh, I like being funny more than I like rapping, you know?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean,
The white rappers you like.
okay. That's
Okay.
a very good question.
Yeah.
Out of all of the white rappers, Eminem, Yellow Wolf,
You gotta go with Eminem.
Machine Gun Kelly.
You gotta go with Eminem.
Was
here.
he a big influence? Now, was Eminem a big influence in your life?
I don't know if I would say that, but I'm realizing, like, I think the older you get, the more you start to realize things influence you.
Yeah.
Like, no one would ever be like, I would never be like, oh, Eminem is a huge influence. But now that I'm older, I'm like, of course, Eminem influenced every, like, single white guy at some level because, like, Eminem is just the king of, like, I don't
Everything,
give a
man.
fuck, dude. Like, he said he was so politically incorrect. He'll say absolutely anything. I mean, he's hilarious. Like if you listen to his bars, he's hilarious. He's the king of making like gay jokes. You know what I mean? He's doing every like white comedian has some sort of like ambiguous sexual thing. Like that's like one of our shticks. Like I often feel like a lot of black comedians, they get to use the N-word, right? I don't get to use the N-word, obviously. But what white comedians get to
Not
use
in private. No, I mean not in public. Not in public.
But what
I'm joking.
white comedians N-word is he gay or not? Like the whole like I'm gay. Or I'm
calling
not
each
gay.
other fags.
No, but just like I mean, basically. But like every white guy like will make some sort of like gay joke like about himself being gay or like that being ambiguous, and that's like the white person's N-word in comedy.
I got you.
Yeah.
Like you gay ass, bro.
Yeah.
Get off that gay shit, bro.
Just doing shit like, you just have little jokes where you're like, oh, like you make it ambiguous,
No, I got you. All right, so off of that, Eminem was a big influence in your life.
Yep.
And how long have you lived in Florida?
Almost 8 years. October will be 8 years.
And Florida is one of the best states on the planet, isn't it?
I love it down here, yeah. It's so cool.
It's definitely cool and diverse. Tell me a good story about you living in Florida.
Man, good story about living in Florida. Man, this is tough. I'm trying to think of like.
Tell me your first time doing stand-up.
Okay.
Give me that story.
All right.
Before we wrap it up.
My first story of doing stand-up, there's this place called Dada in Delray, and it was a restaurant, like a restaurant bar, and I was like, I was nervous. I'd been wanting to try it for a long time, and then finally I pulled the trigger. I met this kid, and he said he was doing it, so I said, I'm giving my word I'll be there, because I knew if I gave my word I would have to show up, even if I was nervous. And I wasn't going to tell anyone, but I told my coworker at work, and so he's like, he got everyone to come, right? So everybody shows up. I'm like super nervous all day. I felt like I was on Adderall, like I couldn't eat. And but sure enough, like I remember I went up and I actually had a good set, and I did like 10 minutes, and then it's funny because like I got off stage and like this kid, I didn't know who he was at the time, but he was like, man, that was really good stuff. Here's my business card. And I was like, oh man, I've made it. You know what I mean? And now like years later, like that guy's a nobody. You know what I mean? So it was nothing, but it was like a great ego trip, And so it was good, and I'm grateful that my friends were there because I had a good time, and that kept me going because comedy is really hard and you bomb a lot, and so it was good that I got to have a first time that was good. You know what I mean?
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Well, once again, Danny Fallon has come to a few of our events. He's very funny. He's definitely going to be at our event in September.
Hell
He's
yeah.
going to be one of the headliners, making sure that he reps the stage. If you guys are in South Florida at any time, when this comes out, so it's September 23rd, you guys pull up to the comedy show. Mike City has the funniest in Broward, headlining a few people. Danny Fallon definitely will be one of them. If you could tell them where to find you at and your platform, where you're at. Tell
Absolutely.
them where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. It's Danny Fallon, haha. And I'm on YouTube, just Danny Fallon. Facebook, Danny Fallon. TikTok, Danny Fallon, haha. And those are pretty much the main ones, yeah.
That's what's up.
Yep.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you got the funny. Wait, before I get out of here,
Yep.
we didn't even talk about Robin Williams.
Ooh, Robin Williams.
Yeah, wasn't he a big influence in your life?
Not really.
Not really?
I
No.
mean, I love Good Will Hunting for
He
sure.
makes some really good movies.
He makes some really good movies.
But that's like Kevin Hart. Once they're so funny, then they transition into making good drama movies. They're
Yeah.
not even that funny no fucking more. They just make really good movies.
Yeah.
So I can understand that.
Funniest white guy. Who is it?
Who?
Who is it? Who's the funniest white comedian all time? Go.
Louis C.K.
Louis C.K. He said.
Jim Carrey. Over
Yeah,
Jim Carrey.
definitely.
Yeah, he didn't even name Jim
Steve
Carrey.
Martin.
He named
Louis C.K. for sure.
He named Louis C.K., Kevin Hart, Vince Vaughn, Will Ferrell, and
John Mulaney.
John Mulaney.
Yeah.
So you.
John Mulaney.
I'm just going off stand-up. That's what, like, and
Stand-up.
also what makes me laugh.
But that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You got stand-up comedians and you got comedians in movies.
Yeah. I think lists are hard, man. You put a lot of pressure on people. You start having lists. It's like, why can't I just enjoy them all?
Right.
It's like you get.
You know, you
Pick
just
one girl.
Well,
That's what you're on my point. That's my point exactly. You want to pick if you had to pick 5 bitches, you don't want to make that decision. You don't want to make.
Right now, today.
well, check me out.
Well, would you rather have 5 bitches or 50 bitches?
both. 50 55.
I'd rather have.
Well, then, exactly my point. Exactly my point.
55.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Well, check me out, Danny Fallon. It was a
All right.
pleasure having you on
Yeah.
the platform. You're very funny. Everybody, make sure that you go follow him. Shout out our sponsors one more time: Twisted One, Thug Life Vodka, Estrada, Dank Heads Rolling Papers, 800 ENT, 800 MBM, Boss Moves, No Days Off, and everybody else worldwide. Keep your head up, stay sucker free, put your feet down, and move like a man. We're out of here.